never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life.
Was shockingly hot, and it's the reason I'm not wearing lashes is because he couldn't get the app. He needed to scan my ID because I got cough syrup.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an addiction. I still have a cold, Jess. Since the fires, yes.
Yeah.
But like when I spent like a good 10 minutes in the hall of him just like trying to get signal and being like, I could give you the Wi-Fi code, but I am just gonna flirt.
I'm just gonna leverage this to my advantage.
Hello, listeners.
Welcome. Speaking of flirting on actual play.
Welcome to another episode of Dungeon Master of None, and we have some very special guests for you today. Why don't you all introduce yourselves, and then we'll sort of jump into the bigger picture, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'm Jess Parks. I am the dungeon master of the podcast I Seduce the Dragon.
I would say you're the Lake Bell of Dungeon Master AP. You got the In a World.
That's an incredibly deep
audio.
cut, Matt. I have to agree. I have to agree.
As in what's that amazing movie that Lake Bell is in? The In a World.
In a World.
In a world.
In a world without sunlight.
Yes. Oh my God. I could not have received a better compliment.
And I'm
Lake Bell was also in an incredible one-season science fiction show called Surface that I was obsessed with briefly that wasn't very good. It was about, I think, sentient whales flooding the U.S. It was a very bad show. Anyway.
That sounds amazing.
She is currently the voice of Ivy on the Harley Quinn animated series on HBO that has just entered their third season, I think.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Dang.
Highly recommend.
Sorry, we interrupted the
D&D
introductions. We're not getting very far.
Sorry, everyone.
My name is Ryan Keeley. I am known as America's favorite stepmom, but I am also a theater artificer on I Seduce the Dragon, a real play podcast. I play with these two lovely ladies.
Hell yeah.
Hi, and my name is Christina Van Epps. I'm not known for anything in particular, but I work in aerospace, and on I Seduce the Dragon, I play a deadbeat father who's an alcoholic and a were-tiger. So that's always fun.
You're known for a couple of things, mostly your expertise in vor. And
here and now, really?
These people don't even know her yet.
Yeah.
Christina has another podcast called Parlor of the Paranormal, where she it's all about
paranormal romance novels.
Paranormal romance novels.
We review paranormal romance novels, and because I know the definitions of some words, I am haunted by friends about them forever.
I see.
She's just our podcast expert on vor.
On vor. Okay.
Which comes up a lot in I Seduce the Dragon.
In paranormal romances, I'm aware that it's kind of like a, it's a like a Tumblr art thing that happens. But I as far as I knew, that like I didn't think that paranormal romances were actually involved a lot of vor. But I'm not an expert.
Not a lot. In my experience, no, it comes up more in my friend group specifically. For some reason,
she gave us the definition one time, and we can't let it go. One time, she tells us what vor is, and but that's the magic of our game, I Seduce the Dragon, because it is 5 friends playing D&D. We got 3 out of the 5 here. This is my first campaign ever. I played lightly in high school. Like very, very lightly, but there was only 30 minutes between the end of school and the drama program starting, so that was the end of my D&D career. And my, rampant sexual opportunities that come with D&D, I've been told.
News to us. Matt and I both played in high school, and I can tell you it didn't go that way for me.
That's
I
We're
also
not in
played
the drama kid section.
That's right.
Where the rules are different.
I was a
over
drama
there.
kid. I was a drama kid in high school. Also played D into high school. Incredibly unhorny. I think that it's just gotten like progressively more so as time goes on. I have to say. I think that like the I Seduce the Dragon. We just kind of goof around. We're all very unserious and just having a good time. But this is possibly like the peak horny of my D&D experience.
It's a real
So you're building
like
towards something.
yeah. It's a real like I'll have what she's having tone to some parts of your podcast. I will say.
Absolutely, for
I
sure.
have this theory of D&D players, and I think there are two main pathways and two main personalities for D&D, and it is drama kids, and it is
Shut up.
and it's hyper nerds, right? You
Yep.
on one side you have your Gary Gygax, D100 percentile dice, and on the other hand side you have feelings people, and I think that there is I don't know that they have to be naturally enemies, but these are I think the two main strains that sort of like feed into D&D. Like I'm guessing that most of you come from a dramatic background of some kind. Am I guessing correctly?
Just to start, kick us off.
Not really.
No?
No.
hyper
I have no dramatic background actually, and getting into D&D and meeting these people and doing this podcast has actually unlocked for me the inner sensitive, curious, deeply feeling creative person that I've been smothering in work ethic and trying to fit in.
As is tradition. I mean, that is the one of the beautiful things about D&D is that it, for better or for worse, can unlock that part of you. How about the other two of you? Drama, nerdery. You, Christina, you build rockets, so I think that kind of answers my question.
Whenever anybody like asks me what D&D is, I say it's math and improv. It's like those two. It's just like, if you enjoy math and improv, then that's it, and that's me and my growth and progression in tabletop gaming. Because I did do like drama in high school. I did, that kind of thing. I was very much like a theater nerd and a tech person, but I also did get a master's degree in robotics. So like, we're straddling some lines here. I feel like I do lean a little bit more hyper nerd than I do like dramatique. But, we do our best.
I trained in theater as a kid. I started in the theater program in the 3rd grade. My focus was always Shakespeare and improv. I did not, however, finish high school. I dropped out, but then I ended up in pornography, where, let me tell you, my ability to read a script and improv really comes into hand. It really comes in handy.
Set you apart? Yeah.
I don't know if I would say set me apart. There is actually a lot of nerds and a lot of theater kids in the adult industry. We are all
not at all surprised.
We're all the nerds that like
be surprised. Yeah.
Well, no, because we're all like the nerds that are like, wait, you want to see me naked? You're gonna give me money to see me? Because like I never got asked to a dance in my life, and now I've got an OnlyFans, so life is good.
So who's the real winner here?
Right.
Yeah, my subscribers.
So
it is same as it ever was, right? D&D may have been started by math wargaming hyper nerds in the bleak Midwest, but like our earliest textual evidence for it outside of those areas is a bunch of LA fantasy sci-fi drama nerds like Lee Gold and Alarums and Excursions talking about, hey, what if we made this game more like dramatic and funny and involved in our characters? And yeah, here we are today with some LA people.
So
happy to represent.
Ryan, you said you played a little bit in high school, in between your other extracurriculars. Christina and Jess, what's your background with D&D? How did you get started with this type of thing?
Do you want to go first, Jess?
No, you go first.
Okay.
I'm sorry. For some reason, that just sounded like you're like this sort of thing. It's like something like a strange man on the from like a dare.
How'd you get into this?
I mean,
everything I'm going to say is
okay.
going to sound a little suggestive. I'm sorry. That's
It's the
here's the thing.
It's just the most
Honestly, though, like,
just how I talk. I'm sorry.
How I got into D&D was one of my weirdest friends in high school asking if I wanted to go hang out in his basement after school. So like, it all starts out kind of weird, but then it was
That happened to me too, but it was Matt.
Yes.
Aw, that's sweet though. But no, it was
We're old
my
friends.
like my sophomore year of high school. One of my friends was starting up a new campaign, and he's like, "Have you ever played D&D?" And I said no, and he's like, "We'll play anyway because we need another person." So I got brought into it, and I loved it. I actually love games that are like needlessly complicated for some reason. They itch my brain just right, and we were playing like 2.5. Like we were, I think like 3rd edition was out by that point, but my DM at the time was just kind of like, no. 3rd edition is trash. We're playing 2.5. And then like I just kind of never stopped. I went to Pathfinder. Like I've dabbled with other tabletop RPGs. I've done like Monster of the Week. I've done oh god, what's the one where it's like sci-fi but there's still elves? I can't remember. It's
Shadowrun?
Shadowrun.
Elves
Yes,
in
I've done
space?
so many failed
Cyberpunk
heists in
elves.
Shadowrun. Yeah.
I've run Shadowrun
years.
games. You're a trooper for it's a doozy.
It can be a slog. It can absolutely, but basically like for almost like 2 decades now I've been playing D&D with a variety of different people and variety of different editions, and it's like a lifelong hobby at this point. I'm so baked into it.
Ask her
Speaking
how
of
many games
systems-
she's playing in right now.
How many games are you playing in right now?
Like actively, like okay, almost 8. There's another one of my friends is starting.
Damn.
That's going to be kicking off in like 2 weeks.
You might have a problem.
If we're including-
No, that's great.
Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
speaking of systems, you brought up the system talk, Pathfinder, all this stuff.
Yes.
I'm doing an
Yeah.
informal poll of basically everyone I meet. New 5th edition rules, yes or no?
Like the 5.5, the 2024
Yeah,
rules?
the 2024, 5.25,
Yeah.
5.1.
I haven't fully switched over. I'm still on 5th edition because it doesn't feel
Is
like a
I Seduce
big
the Dragon
change.
Are you a
Switching over?
5.5
Can we get an
podcast?
exclusive?
Not yet.
Okay,
It depends
yeah,
on
so-
what's happening on Roll20. That is the only reason I can play
That's
the
a good
game.
answer.
Yeah.
Like to the point that like it's affected some things in Roll20.
Yeah.
Ooh, damn, that sucks. Speaking of the
Wait.
actual play, I want. Oh, Rob, sorry,
We're
Okay,
still in the
I'm
middle of a
getting ahead
question.
of
Jess
myself.
has not answered. Sorry, I wanted to hear about Jess's introduction to D&D. We got a whole thing. We got 3 people to talk to here, Matt.
I'll be quick. I was a hater.
I heard
was
this
a-
on one of your interviews.
Yeah.
You were a hater.
I was a
Which is
hater.
okay.
I hated on it. I've got so much crow to eat. I'm going to be eating big bowls of crow for the rest of my life. But yeah, I got into it because I couldn't understand why it was so popular. It made no sense to me. And so when the lockdowns happened and I had some time on my hands, I asked my now husband to organize a game. And, I freaking fell in love. I overplanned my character. I came up with this elaborate, backstory. I got so into it. And I mean, you all know the feeling. Anyone listening to this probably knows the feeling. The rest is history. I really wouldn't let myself be myself. And D&D has helped me do that.
Hell yeah. Well, speaking of what you do, the I Seduce the Dragon podcast. So my endorsement of this, it'd be a little cringe here because I really like the show, but I think I Seduce the Dragon is kind of the platonic ideal of a contemporary D&D game. Now, like D&D has many sub-styles and genres, from dungeon crawls to, political intrigue. But when I listened to your podcast, it not only grew out of a home game, but I think it's also, it's the ideal of a contemporary game, and that's what I think most people want. You're all friends. There's a little bit of drama. There's intricate backstories that are like, the DM has planned like big reveals There's a loose and open structure. There's combats. There's jokes. There's riff. The tone goes from goofy, horny to very serious. I think that's like what most people want. So, what's your secret sauce? How did this happen? How did you make the ideal contemporary D&D game?
Jess brewing away in that little smart brain of hers, just being all like, I am going to bring together the perfect group of people, and I am going to make them play a game together, and then friendship will evolve, and then a podcast will happen, and then I will rule the world.
I honestly think that there's Ryan's right, basically, but like to expand on that idea, I think that there's a large part of it. Like, we as people get along really well as friends. Like, we all have very similar styles of humor. We all come from like different enough backgrounds that we bring something that's like interesting to our dynamic as friends. But we all want different things out of the game. Like, I think that Jess has said before that like I'm freaking edgelord tragic backstory over here who wants like deep, involved character interactions and introspection. I'm texting her at 2 a.m. about like, this is how my character felt about the recent interaction we had in game. And then like
I didn't know you guys were doing that, by the way. I just discovered that was a thing that like could happen, and I've just been like waiting until Wednesday nights, being like, okay.
On the opposite side of the spectrum, you have like every now and then, like I would say, like Ryan, you and Flanders every now and then are just like, I need to cause some chaos or I will explode. Like, just here for some goofy time. We all dip into it here for goofy times, and it really speaks to Jess's ability as a DM that she finds a way to balance it out. Like, she finds a way to serve us all what we're looking for without it feeling too jarring, the shift,
I like complex problems, like creative problems to solve. Shut up, Jess. You're making a face at me. Why don't you say what you think that I want out of this game?
What you want out of this game has actually evolved. Actually, to be perfectly honest.
Because I'm evolving as a human.
Exactly. We are all evolving together.
We're all growing. That's right.
We're all growing. We're all changing. Yes, Ryan has recently started blowing me up behind the scenes once she discovered that was a thing.
I'm delighted.
I'm here for. I'm
excellent.
100% here for. But no, when we first started, I don't think Ryan was really like, she wasn't invested. She was invested in the activity, but she wasn't invested as Erastus. He could die at any minute, and she probably would have been unaffected. Her decisions were more characteristically, her character is quite erratic, but they were more erratic because she was more like, the thing you got to know about Ryan Keeley is she likes to test the edges and the boundaries. Yes. And that is what she was doing with this character. And it frustrated me at first because I was like, I feel like I'm serving up something that he'll like. And then the next session, he's like, I don't care about that anymore. Moving on to something else. And I learned to adapt to that as well. And a couple times straight up been like, what do you want? Like, let's have a candid conversation about this.
Well, some of that, I think, came from the fact that this is my first D&D campaign. And so I didn't know. I mean, I still get confused of like what I can do in a full action turn. And part of me like testing my boundaries and finding things out is that when I play Magic the Gathering, I am the person that is not afraid to let their life force go down to like 2. Like I will just take the hits if I'm setting up for like a more strategic move, which I discovered does not translate to D&D always. But continue, Jess. But yeah, like there's definitely like I was testing the rails because I didn't know what it's such an open world, and for someone that didn't know it, and I'm playing with people that have, I mean, other than Flanders, these 3 women play regularly, and so I didn't know what was possible in this universe.
I have a number of players who have gone from I'm just happy to be involved to being, dedicated role players. It is a beautiful journey. It happens, and a lot of people start, they just want to hang out. But I mean, that's the beauty of the game is like you learn by playing, and sounds like you have. It sounds like it's awesome that you as a player and as a character have evolved through the game. That is as a GM, as a DM, what we want to see.
Jess has learned to manage me.
I will say, to speak to Ryan's credit, though, I speaking on my own behalf, I do really appreciate the boundary pushing and the desire to sort of like, let me just see what all I can do in this sandbox. Because if from my personal thing, again, I goof about like getting really in the weeds and delving into character interactions, and that counterbalance helps me get, keep it light and keep it fun and be not that serious about it. Because at the end of the day, it is a game and it's about us enjoying it. And I think that really helps flavor the sauce, is that like, it's mostly just us having a good time. We're not really focused on like, what's the ideal story that we're telling here. We want it to be satisfying, but mostly we want it to be fun.
Yeah. So the secret sauce, I guess I would say, to striking the balance that you are responding to, which is very much what I'm trying to produce here, is a combination of assembling the right group of people, that you have the kind of trust that you can push each other's buttons in a playful way without being worried that you're actually alienating the other person, because the entertainment comes from conflict. And once I found those people who could support each other in real life and punch each other in the face in imaginary life, then it became a matter of me being the straight man. So now I'm creating a story and trusting that they're going to add goofs and flavor and whatever. The more serious I make it, the more hilarious they're going to make it as a counterpoint. I can trust them to do that. So I don't worry about scheduling in jokes, planning in jokes or goofs or lightening the mood, because they'll take that for me. And there's like a level of trust with that. And then of course, the last part of the secret sauce is editing.
Oh yeah, she does us such a favor in the editing.
This is great. You guys are making this really easy for us, because you're jumping to the meat of the conversation. I don't even have to prompt you. I mean, this is what you're describing, Jess, is like what Matt and I have talked about. This is what you dream of as a dungeon master, is being like setting up your players and then just like letting them loose. And then they do all the work of like bouncing off of each other and driving the plot forward and creating the conflict and the drama, which is not easy to do, right? You have to have engaged players. You have to have interested players, and you do have to do the work to like get them there. But like, it sounds like, and from what I've seen on the pod, you've gotten there, which is, again, this is a recommendation that we make to our listeners, and it's about what you said. It's about picking the group. It's about making sure you have the right chemistry. It's a lot of, making smart decisions about people, I guess.
Well, it's one of the things, if I may say, that I really enjoy about your show, and the two of you have that quality of friendship, that you can disagree about something and kind of clash about it. And I love to listen to that, because I don't get in those conversations in my day-to-day, generally speaking. So if I have like a hot take or an opinion about a rule or an angle, or like when you guys covered the Rime of the Frost Maiden, you disagreed about it. And I found that very, very engaging. I really love to agree with one of you more, but to hear the other side represented. I think that's the kind of, I'm making air quotes, conflict that you can tolerate when you have a deep friendship and respect.
I mean, that's a very nice compliment, and I appreciate it. But that's exactly right. And I
don't think it's a very nice compliment, Rob.
The drama begins.
Yes. Fight.
But like, I mean, that's a great point, and I really liked what you said earlier about like conflict is what people are here for. Conflict is what drives the story, and I think this is a mistake. This is a mistake a lot of people make, not just like in actual play or in D&D. It's just like a mistake people make all the time in storytelling, in trying to think about like what is interesting, what do people care about. But there's also a mistake people make where they confuse, just fighting for conflict, right? Like there's a type of productive, interesting, generative conflict that you can have, and you're right that it does come from people who know and trust each other and can disagree productively. And one of the cool things about D&D is that it like kind of gives you practice in that, right? Like it lets you kind of like wear that hat depending on, how your game is going.
Sure.
And, mixed results sometimes, but it's cool that you're encouraging that, and it's cool that your players like that. Like that's the thing is getting to the point where people feel good about that is difficult. So this sort of like relates to one of my other questions. So Jess, you had there was a home game before this became an actual play. Was everybody who was in the actual play in the home game, or did you all know each other before? What's your story together?
Did some players not make the cut?
Yeah, that's right. Was anybody not pretty enough to be on the actual
radio.
play? Yeah,
For radio.
We're actually all
Sorry.
just this good looking.
It was audio. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are all very attractive. But the group actually
really annoying.
started. It's so hard.
Our cross to bear, truly.
But no, you get, when you start with 5 smart women, there's nothing more attractive than smart women, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the group that came together, we didn't plan to do a podcast.
No.
We planned to do a home game. I planned a game that would bring these people together to be friends. So that's really the chemistry that I planned, was not at all for public consumption. And then
we had to peer pressure her into making this a podcast.
They kind of did. But the funny thing is I was already kind of doing it. I was recording our games after a while and making these cute little recaps that were like 10 minutes, 20 minutes long of the whole thing, and sending them to them, and they were loving them. And then we did a one shot, and I cut that into an hour-long thing, and I put music on it, and I did sound design just for them, just a gift for them. And I played it for Sean, my husband, and he was like, "You got to make this a podcast." And I was like, "No, I don't need. There's enough. My God, there's enough D&D podcasts out there. The world doesn't need mine." But it got me thinking. It got me curious.
Helped that a couple of us were also banging on the table, like, "Jess, make this a podcast."
It was too good. It was too good.
It was too good.
It was too
very
good.
enthusiastic.
This answers some questions that I had, right? Because I was watching your recaps and your amazing animations and narration. And I was like, wow, this is really good. It doesn't have to be this good. Why are you putting so much effort into this? Like this is an actual play. Like this is way better produced than 90% of what's out there. But it makes sense if this is what you do professionally. And also you were just doing it for fun and you enjoyed it. Like of course it makes sense that it would be this quality. But I mean,
Speaking
they were right.
of 90% of what's out there, right? Like 90% of what's out there today is like people who are like professionally actors of some kind or improvers, right? And your podcast, which is, we started with a home game, we were having fun. It was the recordings of it were entertaining enough to people who are not in the game. Let's turn it into like, that's how it used to be like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I can't remember what year it is, but like, how does it feel like coming into
right.
the actual play in this time where people's like home games do not become actual plays anymore?
Oh,
I'm just sorry. That's a tough bummer of a question.
It's like you're trying to start a garage band in, 2025, which it's not Seattle in the 80s anymore, but garage bands are still cool.
It is, and I'm with you. But also, when I decided to actually do it, and I set goals for myself for making this, and I say myself because early on, I'll make a confession right now. Early on, I didn't trust that they would be willing to help. Knowing how much effort something like this takes, how much actual hard, consistent hard work, I didn't want to put that on my friends. I was asking enough of them to show up and play every 2 weeks. So I really took it all, without even consulting them, I took it all on myself. And I thought, all right, what's it going to take for you to feel like this is a success? And I set my goal really low. I set my goal at, if I can touch one person I've never met, if I can make that person connect with this thing the way we connect with it, I made something. I created something that connected with a stranger. That's a dip in the pond, dipping my toe in the pond of really creating something of my own. And I've built a career out of helping a lot of people create their thing, including as a sound mixer. It often feels that I'm one step removed from the actual inspiration. I'm helping to polish it, but it's not mine. And I wanted something that had my hands all in it. And so that's what this became. And it's been just simply organically growing. So yeah, I try not to think about the fact that we are at a disadvantage because we don't have actors and
Hey, I have appeared in 500 films.
But there is a very interesting thing to be said about the state of the actual play community now at this period in time, because we are very much in like a D&D renaissance. Like,
yeah.
I would say as a person who's been in the community for like probably the majority of my life at this point, that there was, and you could probably call it like the like BCR, the before Critical Role times, where like
I am so glad I listened to 0 Dungeons and Dragons podcasts.
I mean, honestly,
I never have.
I'm glad that there is that like, you know, lack
cleanness
of yeah, there's a purity to it in a sense. Like there's a lack of trying to be something else. We're not. And as Jess said, like the standard, the bar that we're hit is very much sort of like internal. We have a set of standards for ourselves because previously, and I mean, still, you do see like a lot of people putting their home games up on like Twitch. You see a lot of people. There's like hundreds upon hundreds of like small home games that go up as podcasts, and then nothing ever comes of them because they don't have, you know, the time or the sticking power or the energy to keep it going long term. And the ones that are really sticking it out are now these huge, like your Dimension 20s and your like these really big backed performances. And that can set an intimidating bar for anybody who wants to get a story out there, which is what it is. It's storytelling. And just like any other medium where you're trying to like entertain, it's just the difference being that we're just kind of making it up as we're going, and then Jess makes it sound really nice after the fact with the sound design and everything. We have great microphones, and that's the big stepping point.
That's half the battle.
Honestly,
it really is. It like the microphone quality is not something that I noticed until we started doing this podcast and listening to older episodes, and particularly mine, because as you can see, I cannot sit still to save my life. So we had to figure out a mic solution that worked for the game that allowed me to be able to do something for 3 hours, because that's not something that normally there's a reason I dropped out of high school. Like I cannot sit still for 3 hours. And so like it all comes down to Jess's like brilliant planning and her thoughtfulness and like how to guide both the technical side of this show, because as a sound mixer, she knows what she needs to make it good, to sound good. And also that ability that before she was a sound mixer, she was an executive and project manager, and like has also like that brain of like how to.
This explains so much. In our communications leading up to this, Jess was shockingly thorough, professional, detailed in every email.
Sent us an Airtable,
and I felt so embarrassed because I don't work in an office anymore, and my like email skills have atrophied. Like I used to be really good at this stuff, and I don't anymore. And Jess was again more than you had to do. It was great, but I can see the project manager, the the professional. It's you're
just the enthusiasm, Rob.
I mean, it's clearly these are the qualities that are required for a high quality dungeon master. Is somebody with organizational skills, enthusiasm, leadership ability,
imagination.
Yeah.
Machinations.
Also research. She was like going and watching other people playing this campaign to learn how Rime of the Frost Maiden is run by other people, to learn from other people's mistakes before she even started this one. And then had to make her own mistakes because we refused to go along with the plot of Rime of the Frost Maiden for more than like 5 seconds at a time.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Rime of the Frost Maiden. I think it's one of the better, overall adventures. But Jess, you've clearly... Well, I guess Jess and your ungovernable players have taken it in your own directions. What's y'all? So you're. Let's see. I'm caught up with no spoilers, but like the beginning of season 2. So you're like halfway through it. 2/3 or no 2/5 of the way through it.
I'd say we start the whole podcast. Episode 1 starts in chapter 3.
You're done with the 10 towns when the podcast shows up. So I just, from everyone, he'll be back. So my question is I don't know, what's your opinion, strengths and weaknesses on this on this module so far from the player and GM side?
Yeah. Well, from the GM side, I think what I love about it is also kind of what a lot of people don't like about it. I think that it was a module, and I'm going to disclaim this, that I don't have a lot of experience with D&D modules yet. But as the first big one that I played, I am of the new school of D&D players and dungeon masters that are more focused on a game that responds to players and telling a deeper story, and maybe a less strategic one. I hate to say, because I've got a lot of respect for classic strategic D&D. It's a little bit above my head, but eventually I'll be there. I think that Rime of the Frost Maiden is perfect for that kind of DM that doesn't have a novel they're waiting to write, so they're going to turn it into a D&D game.
Wow, rude,
but
Jess.
They do want to make it their own. I'm just saying, there's a time.
I'm just kidding.
Rob.
I'm just kidding.
Wait, what?
Rob's got like 6 novels.
You sitting on your novel?
6 of them.
No.
You writing your novel?
Yeah, but I would. It's a joke because I would never inflict it on my players. It is a type of DM though that you have correctly identified. Yeah. Go on.
I have been the victim of that DM multiple times.
Yeah.
What is that?
Me too. Unfortunately, I have been on the receiving end. Which is why I would never do that. To
Is it
somebody
like
else
the
on purpose.
director of a bad play who also wrote it?
Essentially-
Kinda.
Exactly
There's
like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
A
Cool, cool,
DM who's got everything planned out and does not allow any players the freedom. It's just, imagine if you were being drug along by, you're the hobbits and you're being drug along by Gandalf while you want to go explore something else.
But you can't even like take a detour and then
can't
like
take a detour. No, we're going to the next scene, which I have already planned out, and I know how you're going to respond. Like treating your players like characters in your book.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
And not people with their own agency and decision-making abilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you've got that on the one end of the spectrum. You've got the people who want to play real crunchy D&D by the rules on the other end. And in the middle are these people who want to play a story, are open to improvising it, but maybe need something to hang it on. And Rime of the Frost Maiden does a beautiful job of that, because it's got kind of like main plot points that, honestly can be taken or left in some combinations based on what decisions your players make and what resonates with you. And then there's multiple ways within the module to tie those together, which are all, as far as I'm concerned, like it's just a Michaels of a story. So go buy whatever parts of the crafts you need, and the rest make yours, which I love. The downside is, of course, that requires a lot of work from the DM. It requires you to sift through it and figure out what you want to use and know what you don't want to use. And that is like, it's not for somebody who just wants to open a book and play it.
Oh, then Ryan and Christina, like, what are your feelings now that you've spent many dozens of hours in the lovely Dale of Icewind? Like, do you like the set? What are your feelings, pros and cons on the setting? Because it is one of those classic D&D places.
Yeah, this is an old school setting, and this was, sorry to interject here, but this is what we
Back
I don't know
in
if I
my
told you this when I
day.
was disconnected, but we loved this module, and even though we disagreed about some parts of it, it ended up being one of our like top 3. But it was cool that they took an old setting and let some like new writers like run with it. This was one of the coolest things that they did. But I'm always curious what other people's experience of it is.
I just want to say real fast, going back to what you were saying before about DMs that have written a novel and want their players to play it. I just want to remind people that The Night Man Cometh is an excellent It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode. And that's the vibe that I'm getting from what it would be like.
That is you have absolutely like that is exactly what it's like being at the whim of a dungeon master who is trying to make you play out his weird little psychodrama. No, that is exactly what it's like. That's why it's one of the greatest episodes of It's Always Sunny. Yeah,
That and Who Pooped the Bed, same season.
Reynolds versus Reynolds
it's also a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's my feeling about Rime of the Frost Maiden is it's my first campaign, so I had assumed that we would be doing dungeon crawling, which we have done. It's very open-ended. There's all of these different little ways that we can take the quests. So I do like the fact that there's a lot of flexibility in it. I am very upset about the fact that, and I don't know if this is just my character or something that happens in the game, but the whole like portal jumping thing, I am not into. Like, I am not okay with multiverses or time travel, just so you know, for future reference.
Okay.
So that is something that I've been having a hard time wrapping my brain around, because I can barely understand this reality, plus the reality of playing in Rime of the Frost Maiden, and that Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. I can barely keep those straight. And so then
there was a wonderful like not recorded moment where I was trying to explain like the different planes of existence to Ryan, like, and how they all like layered interact with each other, and like there's the elemental planes chart. And there's the abyss.
There's a map in the back of one of the books.
I saw the truth and primal fear spread across her face as I was explaining it. And I was like, yeah, that's minutia we probably don't need right now.
I have some bad news about the rest of the Wizards of the Coast D&D modules, Ryan. Is that they really
stay away.
They
from
really
planes.
lean into that multiverse stuff.
Very, very portal forward.
They are very portal forward, exactly.
As a setting, like this, like to inform Ryan in my responses, we have not like read the module. This is both of our first experiences.
Am
with
I allowed
this
to
setting.
read the module?
No, you're not.
No.
I didn't think about it.
No. We know, like, I don't even know. When you were saying, like, we're about 2/3 of the way through, I was like, we are? Because, like,
that's really
we
exciting.
have no idea. We have no idea where we are. We don't know what. I mean, I know all the were-tiger stuff's probably not in it, but, like, the rest of it is probably.
That's not in the module?
I don't.
Okay, sorry.
Here's the thing, right?
Rob and I have done a really
anymore.
bad thing here. We are pulling back the curtain that all
we have not.
DMs
Matt,
keep
you
where
did
we're
this. You did this, Matt. I wasn't going to say
the information
your
that
mistake.
we
You have
created
known
and this, and then okay. I'm sorry, everyone. The I Seduce the Dragons people can burn me alive in a wicker man.
That's right.
And we will. And we will. Thank you. But as a person who's both like, I have run modules before. I have done modules before. One of my favorites is Tomb of Horrors, and every time they bring it into a new like edition, I try it again just to see if it will go better this time. And it never does, because one of the falls of that, as much as one of my favorites, is that it's so rigid. There is one solution to every problem, and it is a linear path forward, and you have to do X, Y, and Z, or else you do not get to the end. And Rime of the Frost Maiden, at least the interpretation of it that we are presenting on our podcast, is so much more flexible than that. And it allows for us to take parts that we've brought into the story, things that we are interested in, and kind of just like jam them in there. And there's room that they fit, which I think really allows for more engagement from the player. Like, if you want characters, your players' characters to be like in it, there needs to be space for them to bring something to add to the setting.
There's a small number of modules that are genuinely, that I feel like are genuinely like replayable, in that they have multiple outcomes and multiple paths for players to take. Curse of Strahd is one of those, and Rime of the Frost Maiden is one of them. Waterdeep Dragon Heist is one, but most of them are pretty. Tomb of Horrors is a great example of one that. It really is. There's just one way. You're just there's really only one way to get through it. There's exactly one solution to every puzzle.
It is one path of a series of 10-foot rooms, one after another, each with a secret door, and that's the whole thing.
You'll never find it.
Yep.
Well, actually, Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the show you exhibit a lot of D&D rules, mechanics, systems, and lore knowledge. Am I correct?
D&D Clippy?
Right? D&D Clippy.
I see you're trying to cast a concentration spell. Would you like some help with that?
Would you like some help with that?
The thing that really grinds my gears is when an actual play, I know this is a personal preference, like really backgrounds the fact that they're playing a game. I'm like, I could just listen to an improv audio drama. If you're going to pretend a game's not here, one of the reasons I listen to actual plays is to find out a little bit more of what a game looks like in player practice. And the two of you, a neophyte, an expert, both as players, like tag teaming, explaining things works really, really well. Like if you're new to D&D, this is a good podcast for that. So I just want to say I really appreciate actually forefronting the rules in your actual play, which seems to be going against the grain of the trend.
That's something that I when we started talking about doing this podcast, I was really interested in making sure that this was something that would be accessible to someone like me who doesn't play D&D, and make this accessible specifically to women who engaging in the geek space is kind of awful as a woman. I mean, I'm not the first person to say that. When I first got into comic books, when I first started making money with my adult career, that was like I was like, I have money, I can spend money on stuff. And I started spending money on the comic books that I couldn't buy when I was a kid. And that was a really challenging space to navigate. And it didn't feel inclusive. And it felt like whenever I tried to engage in content from like YouTube creators or podcasts, that it was all designed for an audience that already knew all the in-jokes. And for someone that was new, I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I know that I like some of this stuff that you're into, but you're really gatekeeping. And so I wanted to make sure that this was something I want other women like us, like millennial women, to listen to it. I hope they do. I don't know if they do or not, but that was something that I think D&D Clippy really helped with. And I love the Clippy episodes because, like, that was in the beginning of the game. I was like, Christina, what does this mean? Christina.
Well, a lot of what we do with, like, the combat and the mechanics in the game is kind of like backwards engineering it, and I honestly prefer D&D played this way, where it's not what can I do in the rules that's cool. It's this is what I want to do. How do we make that happen with the rule set? And that's very much how a lot of us play this game. Like the stuff that Ryan comes up with where she's like, I want to do this thing. And we're just like, how do we make that work? And that's where a lot of it comes from. And that's what keeps it feeling very fresh and creative and fun, is because it's not like I'm not min-maxing the best combos here. It's like, let me try this thing. How do I make that work within the mechanics we're given? And that's what I'm here for. But then also I always try to like caveat, because this is a pet peeve I have, of like not letting the DM get the final say on things, because the DM is supposed to be kind of like the referee of the world. And sometimes sticking to the rules too harshly isn't fun. Or like, you know, rule of cool. Sometimes you want to just do something because it's sick as hell, and like if not doing it,
you're not going to get in trouble on this podcast for saying that. No, we agree. We
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Jess is incredibly generous with that. Like Jess has been incredibly generous, and sometimes, you know, a character will come up with something that they want to do in game that might be a little authentic to them, and Jess will have you pitch it to her, and then she'll make a ruling, and it's very thoughtful, and I really appreciate it.
And including those bits of the conversation in the game in the podcast is like part of the storytelling.
Yeah.
There is something satisfying in like, okay, we're going to step out of the story real quick, and now you're going to get to see a little bit of the behind the scenes of us like trying to figure out what we're doing, or how to like get the DM to let us do this cool thing. It's like additional victories on top of the story victories.
We're friends solving a problem both in and out of game.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt's making a good point, and I agree with him. A lot of, most actual plays are not actually very helpful for learning how to play, or especially like learning how to DM, like, you know, and that's our bit. And so I get frustrated too when I'm watching one and it's a very funny or entertaining improv session, but it's not, you know, this could have just been that, right? The game is barely present. So it is very cool that you are foregrounding the rules, and the way that you present them and teach them, I think, is very instructive. It's, you know, I think that it is very accessible, which is, like you said, Ryan, this is a very gatekeepy space, and it is not always accessible to somebody who, you know, is interested but doesn't like have the foreknowledge to understand D&D without a little bit of explanation.
And it makes it so people like my dad listens to the podcast, because my dad does not like my current career, but loved I mean, obviously, he's my dad. But
Sure.
I get my love of theater from him. I mean, he was the one that got me involved in theater and in improv. And so he thinks it's really fun to listen to the podcast because he's still involved in the improv and theater scene up where I'm from. And he's like, it's really fun to listen to you do improv again. And so, but because he was not a D&D person, listening to the Clippy episodes in season 1 was something that made him understand like what we were doing and like what these characters were and what their abilities are.
I'm going to flip this rules discussion around and make it harder onto the GM, because the GM always gets the hard questions, which Jess, like, so you've got, I don't know, 50, 60, 100 sessions of D&D 5th edition as the Dungeon Master under your belt. How are you feeling about the system overall? And for running like a entertaining actual play? Are there times you're like, I love this is perfect, or times you're like, I wish we were using a different rule system?
About D&D just in general?
Yeah.
Okay, there's just so much unexplored. I'm not that person who's going to, let me back up. So one of the earliest things I had difficulty with were 2 things. One, I thought combat was a horrible slog. And
you're right.
Partial agreement from
Lies and blasphemy.
I can tell you have some players that really love your combats. Despite your
I hated combat because I found it just unwieldy and slow and not narrative, and it didn't engage me. And then I learned you just need to get more practice. Like everything isn't easy right away. And the other thing that I know is very, very common, especially with new DMs, is that you feel like you're doing it wrong. You feel like you've missed every opportunity, that you've done your players dirty by not doing a good enough job, and you forgot to lay this hook, and now they're in a different direction and you can't do it anymore, and you suck.
Jesus, Jess.
I mean, literally ask any new DM out there. Do you wonder, there's like memes out there with DMs being like, did you guys have fun? Did you guys have fun? Like, okay, players of the world, fucking text your DM right now and tell them that you love your game and why. Tell them what they did specifically for you that you appreciate. Do that, because they do spend a lot of freaking time.
I love this game. This is my favorite thing that I do.
It's wonderful.
More than naps.
But my point is I know that even as a DM and even a couple 3 years into DMing, I have but scratched the surface of what this game can offer. So I don't feel even qualified to offer ruling. The only thing I can say is I did get an opportunity to play Mothership last year.
We love Mothership.
And I sure do love that system. I was very, at first, I was a guest on another podcast called Party of One, delightful.
Great show.
Jeff Stormer, check it out. But he pitched a couple things. I chose Mothership. I didn't realize that it would be a little book. So he sent me a little book to read to prepare for my one episode with him. And at first I was like, dang, but also homework head. I was like, I want to knock this motherfucker out of the park. So I did. I read the book and I made 4 characters to play. And I just loved the book. I loved the system. It was so intuitive. It got my imagination really fired up. So I'm sure that there's a bunch of amazing systems out there that I just don't have the bandwidth to learn. Right now I'm quite satisfied with Dungeons and Dragons because it has 2 things going for it. It is incredibly versatile and it is the most ubiquitous, which matters. It's the common. It's common. You're speaking common.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and speak your Elvish and your Orcish and your whatever with these other systems, but most people will be able to meet at common, which is
I
D&D.
recently played Exploding Panties, which I believe is a different system. I think that's what it's called.
I'm familiar. Yes, it is a different system.
Rob.
No, I think Matt is too. We've heard of it.
So I played a one shot for a friend's 40th birthday, and it was a delightful evening. I had a great time, but I was very frustrated because I felt like that system, while simpler, because we had a lot of people that had never played any role-playing games, I felt very limited in what I could do. So I've been enjoying, as hard as I find D&D is, like I do enjoy the flexibility of the system.
It's compared to previous editions of D&D, I would say that 5th edition is the most rules light. Because, like, previously, in the history of D&D has always been, like, about fantasy tropes. It's about, like, playing specific character archetypes that existed in fantasy media. And 5th edition, and I feel like, you know, Wizards of the Coast and the story of D&D going forward is very much about you making your own archetypes. It's about making the game system malleable to what the players want to do with it. However, if you don't have enough, like, guidelines, or if you don't have enough, like, explanation for how things are supposed to go, then you can run into some problems also. Like, you have to find a good balance between, okay, if you run into this situation, this is how you handle it. There are rules in place so that you're not just, like, fighting over how many feet a turn you would fall, which is a real fight I had in a campaign where someone was arguing that they wouldn't hit the ground within 6 seconds. And I was like, do we have to be fighting about this right now? So, like, it does help to have limitations at times because, like, the rules help you just keep going, but you can't have too many of them or else you're not really expressing yourself as much.
This is precisely the argument that we make all the time. We're always talking about different systems, and we're not going to try to drag you down one path or another because you're right in the middle of a great D&D module, so you shouldn't switch. But yeah, it is a thing that is worth thinking about, like, about your play style, about, like, what works for you, both Jess as a DM and you as players. There, you know, some people do really like a free form, more storytelling focused game, but like you, I find, like, not having some guardrails to be a problem. Like, I have less fun if there's less structure. But, like, there's games like Mothership or like Shadow Dark or other, like, OSR inspired games that are really, like, rules light, but, like, have structure and are fun and are still, like, very recognizably D&D. But like I said, you're in the middle of a 5e campaign, so you should just keep doing that. This is really, like, one of the best. It is. I'm so delighted that you chose this one because it is, I think, really, like, the peak of what Wizards, like, new writers did when they were still letting, like, new writers write modules, and it shows because it's very different from things like Tomb of Horrors, for example, the classics, which have a lot to, like, recommend them, but it is a lot more open-ended and allows for, like, what Matt was describing at the beginning of the podcast, you know, your sort of, like, platonic ideal of a D&D game with drama and romance and excitement and body jokes and all that. And yeah, it's very cool to see.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. One thing that I think is not in Rime of the Frost Maiden. Again, I'm risking pulling the curtain back too much. But I think based on the thing that is in the podcast, I have heard someone say this, is that, Jess, you have done a really good job of creating very character-focused goals and, like, situations. So in the show, one of the characters may or may not be a demigod. One of the characters may or may not be a were-tiger. And so Jess, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you came up with those collaboratively with your players to different extents with different players. I just wanted to hear, like, what was your process for coming up with these? Because these really, like, take the show to a great level. I didn't give any spoilers, did I? Okay. I'm
Not
saying
at all.
everyone
No.
don't say
In fact,
anything.
I'm pretty
really
sure that's the premise. Like, yeah,
Okay.
Gentry's a demigod and Tori is a were-tiger. That is known information going in. So you are spoiling.
I gotta say, not the were-tiger thing is great, but, like, the deadbeat dad, that is, like, that is probably, like, to me, one of the most inspired character, like, bases that I have ever encountered. Like, I've had players come up with all kinds of, like, this is my character, and I've never had anybody be like, I'm a deadbeat dad. That rules. I like, they're all great, but, like, that is really, like, peak role playing to me. Sorry.
Thank you. I
let the record show, Rob supports abandoning your children.
I'm here for it. There's one of my 8 other campaigns that I'm in, I'm actually playing one half of a divorced adventuring couple, and it is some of the most fun that I've ever had, where it's my character and her ex-husband are in the same campaign, and we're in the same adventuring party. It's like make characters that are kind of like the worst in a way, because if your DM is as great as mine is, she will suddenly just like have your children that you abandoned 4 years ago get dropped off directly in front of you and completely derail every intention you had, but at the same time suck you in so hard with the stakes. Like, my character that I created was like your run-of-the-mill mercenary who was just kind of in it for the money and the you know, to screw around at the beginning. And then the second that Jess is like, hey, I'm bringing in these narrative hooks for you, I'm bringing in this backstory you gave me that on a whim, and I was like, I am so invested now, deeply and emotionally, in the campaign. Yeah.
What is backstory for if not to throw it at you
Exactly.
and torture you with it? I would say, Matt, to your question, that I am because I have aspirations. I want to be a great storyteller. And by that, I mean, I don't consider myself a writer, but I have begun learning about writing. I want to speak a great story. I want to engage these 4 people in front of me as if they were children at a camp out. And part of my style of doing that is being incredibly, incredibly open to, I want to say inspiration. That sounds kind of cheesy when I say it like this, but take, for example, in our game, we've got Gentry played by Dana Scarborough, who is so hilarious.
Truly.
And she has religious trauma, something that I did not really know about her going into this. And she made a character that was beloved by her. Backstory was very nice and happy, and her family loved her. And she chose a cleric. And the idea that she would have inherited godly abilities herself, I know that demigod isn't like an original trope or anything, but just sometimes perhaps you both have felt this in running your games, or perhaps somebody listening has felt this, that it's a shower thought or it's a commute thought, that you're just kind of thinking about your game, thinking about your characters, and suddenly the way opens before you. And that's what it was with the demigod. I didn't tell her that was going to happen. I didn't check, because part of I was new to it. Now I might check, but at the time I didn't, because part of it was that if this were to happen to you in real life, if you were to suddenly find out you were part God, they're not going to care what kind of trauma you had as a kid. It's not going to matter. Like, you're going to have to figure out how to deal with this thing. And I like to push that boundary within reason. It was the kind of thing where I rolled it out, and unfortunately that part of it happened before we started podcasting. But I rolled it out and then checked with her later, and I said, are you cool with this? If this isn't where you want to go, I've got ways to change it. But this came to me. I wanted to try it. I thought it was a really cool scene. What do you think? And then she had buy-in on it. Nice. There have been a couple of things that have happened in this game that have come from being open to allowing where the story is going to go to just tell me instead of me decide it. And so far, that's served us pretty well, I think. Does that fit? Have you guys had that feeling? Like,
absolutely.
That's not just me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. I'm
open
often,
mind. Think about your game all the time. Yes, that is.
I'm
the
often.
way.
I'm often noodling, and
I spent my whole morning looking up various widths of marine rope.
Nice.
She is so in. We are.
Yeah, that's right.
By the time that we finally get to we're gonna be.
We've got a boat.
We have a boat plot. By the time we get the
yeah.
boat, I fully expect that Ryan Keeley is going to have built one already and is going to be like showing us how to do it.
Like,
No,
actually.
But Jess, I'm just like you. I'll be doing something else, and then this light will go off. And I'm like, oh. This person has a brother, and their brother is going to show up at this moment, or my player has this person that they met 10 sessions ago is going to come back and do this. That's exactly I'm always that's how you're in it. You're always noodling on ways to get them engaged, to keep them involved. I love that for for Dana too, because like 60 to 70% of what I do in role playing games is process my religious trauma. So I think it's I think it's a really good medium for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, you had
I have one more question. I think for the GM and the players and their quick ones. Which Jess, how do you talk so good? Like how do you
talk so good?
DM? Explain your amazing DM voice, your narrator voice.
Your narration voice where you say the consequences of something, and it sounds like you're reading something you've written beforehand, but you're so obviously not because it's not stilted, and it just I don't know. It sounds like you're narrating an audio drama.
This is why I assumed you had a background as a performer.
That's really kind of you to say. So maybe this will help other DMs in your audience.
Please. It would help me
talk about this.
Because I'm like, and you see like a cool dragon. Okay, but next to the dragon is but in front of both of those, see, that's me.
So the easiest there's a few steps that I can offer. The first and very easiest is like, this is going to be a hot take. I don't know if I should say this out loud.
Do
Opinions.
it.
Good.
We like hot takes here.
I have a huge turn off. I have a pet peeve that turns me off. There's two things that turn me off of actual play podcasts. One is not relevant to this question. It is when they spend a lot of time agreeing. Like, this is the plan. Yes, I agree. That's the plan too. Yes, that's the plan. Like, great. I don't love that. But when they get hung up on these verbal pauses, these cowardly hedges that go sort of like and kind of like. Do they sort of like pick up the object and kind of like look at it from every angle? Or do they pick it up and fucking observe every angle of that thing? Like, commit to the description. You got it in your head. Say it. Don't pretend. Don't make them come up with the rest of the kind of like. It's kind of like when it's very hard to wrap your mind around, when it's cosmic and beyond comprehension. It's kind of like water swirling, but it's not. It's your soul. That's kind of like. And once you endeavor to remove these hedging expressions that keep you from fully committing to the description, you're going to find that you're naturally going to describe more fluidly. The other thing I do is I describe in chunks. I smooth it out in the edit, but for both my thoughts and for their comprehension, I take it in beats. So it might look like you peer over the edge of the wall, and below you stretches a vast cavern. You see bats, swirl across it, but there's significant beats. Your players will be tempted to jump into these
We're working
beats.
on it.
You must beat that out of them. You must use a big whip to tell them to stop talking.
Commit, you coward.
I have voted for the dog electric shock collars.
That's not a joke. She has, actually. Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
there was a conversation about, like, hypothetical live show with dog shock collars. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing I can recommend that is a higher effort but great return is, and this is for also people who would like to start an actual play, begin recording yourself. Yeah. Begin recording and listening.
It's terrifying. I've done it twice.
Yeah.
It was so terrifying. Gosh.
Professional football teams record themselves and they watch it together and they see what they did wrong in all its glory, and that's how they improve. So if you're not willing to look at and cringe a little bit at where you are right now, you're not gonna get better. And that's gonna also, I would hope, I mean, I don't know, I'm not an expert in this part, but I've spent thought in finding my narrative voice, because I do want to be a good storyteller. And I look at dungeon masters that I admire and games that I admire, and I look at what is the storytelling style that I so connect with, and I decide, is that for me? I have literally been in the bathtub trying different readings of stuff to see, it's like, maybe like as I'm reading, if I've got in my head this weretiger transformation as an example, what if instead of like a low, slow, growly delivery, instead I'm like getting more and more intensified, and I'm keeping a monotone, but it's getting louder and higher and more intense as it's getting worse. These are different styles of narration that you have to decide what gets your heart pumping. Because at the end of the day, you, the dungeon master, are setting the tone for the table. If you want them to engage, if you want them to do voices, if you want them if you want to wrap their hearts up in what they're doing, your heart has to go first. And that is very vulnerable. I didn't do voices. I have a career in post-production. Many times I've been invited to do what they call like loop group, which is just background voices in movies. They invite anybody to do it if you're a guest because nobody can hear it. Never. I would not even in a way that no one could hear. And I can remember the faces on these four the first time Ryan said, "Don't I have like a helper in my bar?" And I was like, "Yeah, you've got a little gnome."
Alfie.
And I was thinking of his voice is based on Butters from South Park.
Butters.
But I pulled out this little, "Hey, how you doing?" And all of them were like
the pure unadulterated joy. Truly, we were all like
the joy in their faces made me realize I need. Do voices.
Do voices.
Do voices. I don't care if it's stupid. I don't care if you feel stupid. Do
If
voices.
anyone can do voices, absolutely do voices, because it is. I have been told by a professional that I am tone deaf.
You don't need tone. It's even like we had this
Everyone
whole thing.
can do some kind of
like,
voice. You gotta figure out. You gotta figure out what kind of voice you can do, right? And
Yes.
Some people can do all kinds of voices, and some people can do 7 different kinds of New Yorker, and all of those are useful depending on the kind of game that you're running. But
And Jess is
100%.
so gifted with the voices, and I think that that's something, and Dana does her fun accent. Christina also like modulates her voice too, and I think it just adds. Because I listen back to our podcast because that's what you have to do if you want to make a better podcast is listen to yourself. And I get so much joy out of the different voices. Like I have so much fun with it. I mean, no one can say "skara" in this game without getting real weird with it. Like it's just impossible. And that becomes like a really fun joke for, your players and something that really like binds the community together.
But also speaking to the vulnerability of it for a second, even when it comes to like when you're trying to do something that's supposed to be really like narratively sweeping and cool, or when you're trying to do something that's kind of a little silly or cringe, it's sort of like getting into a pool. I know there's one voice that Jess did for the podcast, which is the Oblex voice, which is like you do lip trills, it's as talking. And the first time that Jess did it, she was like, "You're not allowed to look at me while I do this." And all of us had to like cover our eyes and only listen as she was doing it. And after she did it the first time and we engaged in conversation with this character, we just like bought in. It was just like, okay, this is just part of it now. We're not laughing at how silly the voice is because this is just like part of the universe at this point. Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's like you just have to kind of like do it. And maybe it gets laughed at first, but also like it will just get accepted and bought in, and that's just now part of it. You have to just, as Jess was saying, you have to commit. You have to be confident. You just have to go for it.
That was really, really good advice. That was like fantastic advice, Jess.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it. I'm gonna implement some of that. I could yap all night with you three. This has been like a ton of fun, and maybe we'll have to get you back on.
Yes.
But thank you so much.
Yes,
I Seduce the Dragon.
We
for
give you
coming on and talking
our
with us.
Official Dungeon Master of None players
Seal of approval.
Seal of approval. Blessings as you one day confront Oral. We're pulling for you.
He
players.
says it right.
Yes,
Jack.
You're doing the work. You're doing the work. Jeff.
Blessings.
Oral.
Oral. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you listen in to I Seduce the Dragon wherever fine
ISTD
fine podcasts are found. We'll link everything in the show
I Seduce
notes.
the Dragon is available on every single podcast platform that is out there. So whatever you're listening to this show on, make sure that you also check out and subscribe to our show. ISTD Pod is available on all social media platforms if you want to find us there and see our fun animatics. And thank you for having us.
They're really cool. Everyone should check them out. Thanks for listening, everybody. And keep rolling them dice.